Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Juan Carlos Brando, and I'm really happy to be chatting with you all today in this afternoon of this Thursday. As usual, at 12:30, we start the show with the attorney Margaret W. Wong, who has been working on the immigration field for over 46 years, and today is going to be answering some of your immigration questions absolutely free. So please feel free to send your question. Please feel free to ask your questions because the attorney Margaret W. Wong will be answering each one of them. Last week we didn't have Ms. Wong. We had one of the attorneys in the law firm who was Ritanio, and he did an awesome job. But fortunately, we have Ms. Wong today. So, Ms. Wong, thank you so much for having us today. How are you doing?
I'm very good, and thank you.
How do you do to find so many good attorneys to work with you in the law firm?
I have made my mistakes, and I'm learning how to work. I've been doing this for like approaching 50 years. So at first it's only me alone, and I've hired an assistant, and now we grow to about 80 people. I made a lot of mistakes through the years, but now we have my partner Scott Bratton now became a judge. Richard Drucker became a judge. So every time they leave us, Mr. Bao became a judge, first as an OCC. So I've made my mistakes. I'm still making mistakes, but I learned from it.
Yeah, and that's good that you have a whole team advising you of what to do or how to hire someone when we talk about the immigration work, or attorneys or former judges, former prosecutors, in even in criminal law or immigration law, which is really connected. And thank you so much for having a good mind of how to help more people throughout the years. So let's start talking about what's going on right now with this parole that is going out there for many people in South America and also Central America. Is this gonna extend any time for countries like Pakistan, Bangladesh, some countries in Africa or Asia? Is this gonna be helping them at some point? Because we know that some of them come through Canada, others come through Mexico.
Right. So right now, the whole point of American immigration is because of the fighting between the Senate and the Congress, especially now with the Republican Party and the debt ceiling, and the Democratic Party is just a mess. So what our administration, which is run by President Biden and Mr. Mayorkas, what they're trying to do is really instead of saying, oh, here, come here, and we file for asylum. And of course, most of them lost, and they don't have really money to hire a lawyer. So what they're doing now is what they call the parole. So they started with the Ukrainian parole, and then it went to the Hong Kong. It's not called parole, it's called DED, but El Salvador always have TPS. Lebanon years ago have TPS, but the whole parole means that you can come documented, that means legally, and also apply for the work permit. But the problem now becomes now so there are two camps. One camp say that we are opening up the whole southern border to allow people to come legally, which is really worse because they don't want anybody here. Then the other camp of people are saying that then what? You allow them to come legally. It's only 30,000 a month because they started with 30,000. At first it's 25,000 with Ukrainians. Now it's 30,000, including the Venezuelans. And then they added the Cubans, the stuff. So now they're talking about on May 11th, the four countries, which is the three Central American, El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras. Now they added Colombia. So the four countries, they allow certain amount of people to come and document it. So at least they can, instead of getting raped or getting killed at the border, because Title 42 will be gone beginning of May. because remember Title 42 is a health thing that President Trump started, saying that nobody can come because of the virus and COVID. Now the COVID is controlled. So now they're preparing an influx of undocumented. So that's why now, and I totally agree with it. You can, and now the whole world is shutting their doors on tourist visa. At least before the COVID, every day people can apply for tourist visa approval or disapproval. At least they say yes and no. But and that's why President Biden a few months ago sent out a big letter saying that, hey, you guys in the all the American councils in the world, France, India, Pakistan, all the African countries, you have to reopen at least to allow for student visa and tourist visa. But this May 11th, we're waiting and see what Biden would do and Mr. Mayorkas would do to allow parole for those 4 countries.
Yes, Ms. Wong. And actually, one of the questions that I have is there a difference? Because there was a form which was the 134, I-134, and now it's the I-134A. So this I-134A is only for people from Guatemala, from Nicaragua, Venezuela, Cuba, and Haiti. But what about the 134? Is this only for real Ukrainians and Afghanistan, or it's pretty much the same form?
See, another thing that the rumor has been, and what do I know? But the rumor is Afghanistan's and Ukrainians, they do I-134, especially Ukrainians because they're white, you know. Afghanistan's is 96% denied because they're not white. Now, on the other hand, I don't blame our administration because Afghanistan, you're talking about terrorism, ISIS. Just yesterday, a day before yesterday, Turkey now say they killed an ISIS. So you don't know where the world is now. On the other hand, you raised a very good question, Mr. Juan, is that the I-134A, they started this A just for the Venezuelans and Cubans. So probably on May 11th, they announced maybe I-134A would be good for the other 4 countries, but we don't know at this point. And also we don't know, like CBP1, you don't need I-134. CAM, you don't need I-134. CAM sort of is the same as but CAM doesn't apply to Colombians, but CAM applies to the 3 Central American countries. It's the same principle as reunification of families. So any parents, step-parents who have asylum pending, U visa pending, PIP, anything pending, they could actually apply to the not-for-profit, and the not-for-profit in America would tell American Embassy, and that's a CAM program. So these programs, like you said, is coming up and up, just to let people come in line. The same as CBP1, it was announced about 6 months ago. It became effective about a few weeks ago. I already have seen people coming, but they also got parole. Parole is a legal entry versus illegal entry. So by May 11th, we have to see what kind of forms they're talking about. Do you need family members to do the I-134A or I-134, or anybody can sign? Now I heard another rumor, which I thought is very funny, is that for the R&B, like they'll give you a free vacation home if you're willing to sign like an I-134 for their relatives. I thought it's a pretty creative way to get people to sign.
Yeah, and well, yeah, there's a lot of creativity in the news as well, saying that bringing all the stuff to the surface to show people what has been there for over 10 years, and they some media outlets are showing that like it's happening right now, and it's not like that. It has been there for 10 years, but they are now putting it in practice right now in this government, which is good. But people don't know about that. So
Right.
that's why we need to be informed and talk to a real attorney who is working on this field, but also has a lot of experience. And what about talking to the attorney Margaret W. Wong, who has over 46 years of experience working in the immigration field? So if you want to make a call, just make an appointment. Give us a call. The phone number is 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. Ms. Wong, we have a bunch of questions today. Uh, Tom Patel says parents overstayed, daughter is citizen. Can we apply? And we applied for DACA being 1 year, still no answer after fingerprint.
Two questions. Number one on DACA first. DACA had been stopped. Actually, it's the Trump people stopped it, and Biden continued to stop. So if you only applied the first DACA 1 year ago, it would not be granted. I've seen some officers don't even give fingerprints, but other officers at least give you a receipt, give you a fingerprint, so you can show bosses and stuff. But your real first question is parents overstay. If they came undocumented, the daughter could file the I-130, but you cannot do adjustment of status. But if they came to America on a tourist visa and overstayed, yes, the daughter can file both the adjustment of status and the I-130. It's good.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wong, for this answer. And yeah, please just call the office. The attorney Margaret W. Wong will be ready to help you out with this case. And it doesn't seem like too bad. It looks like a good case. So give her a call. The phone number is 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. We are receiving another question here. It's, hi, Mrs. Wong. I am from Pakistan. I am gay. I have lived in the United States for 7 years, never filed asylum, but the truth is that if I go back to Pakistan, the government will kill me no matter what. Can I win asylum now?
So, number one, nowadays, the government, American government, is very tough on the 1 year rule. So the question then becomes is you need to overcome the 1 year or go under exceptional circumstances or go on some reason why you didn't file as soon as possible. So it depends on how old you are, when did you come to America, when did you come out, when did you know you became gay? Because if you never know you're gay, then how can you win asylum? How do you file? The question should be, could I file asylum? The answer is yes. Could I get a work permit? The answer is yes. The question is never, can I win asylum? Asylum is becoming harder and harder under Trump. It's like, poof, the denial rate for most of these people are like, most of these courts are like 90. In Ohio, it's like 95%. It's really, really high, the denial rate. So the question is not, can I win asylum? The question is, if I file, would I ever be deported? Because if you lose asylum, you have deportation, you can still appeal the case. And then the next question is, even if I have a final order, can I protect my work permit? So the answer is yes, unless you lose all the way up to circuit court, you still can protect the work permit. Winning asylum it's practically impossible and very difficult now. But being gay, being from Pakistan is a really good case, I think, because they really don't like gay people. And also, the people who speak English on this Facebook need to understand Pakistan Muslim people is very different from Sudan. Muslim people is very different from Afghanistan. Muslim people very different from Indonesians, Malaysian Muslim people, and very different from Mexican Catholics. So don't think, oh, it's Muslim, they all hate gay people. Some Muslim countries are pretty liberal about this. Oh, Saudi is horrible. And that's what one of our purpose of this Facebook is, really to educate and to share the fun together. I love these fun questions. It's just nice to be able to answer and be help.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wong, for your answer. And yeah, that's true. There's a lot of answers that we have in this show. And if you need more information, just give us a call, 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984, attorney Margaret W. Wong. Okay, somebody gave us this long question. I think they copied some part of the letter they received from immigration. Conditional permanent residents who properly file I-751 or Form I-829 will receive a receipt notice that can be presented with their Form 551. Permanent resident card, also known as a green card, is evidence of continued status for 24 months.
Okay,
But
that's a very good question. Let me explain to you the question. What they're saying is 829, after you get the EB5, this is probably a question from a lawyer or from paralegal. What they're saying is that if I got the first conditional green card after a marriage case within 2 years, I need to extend the 2 years into a 10-year case. That's a 751 is a marriage case, all right? CR is conditional case of 529 is a 2-year. Mr. Juan, if you can put the question on top, that'll be great because
okay,
people can
yeah,
look at the question. That'll be
yeah.
awesome. I know
Okay,
your job is to advertise. Thank you, thank you. I
no,
know. I mean,
it was too
I've
high,
known
and I
Mr. Juan
barely see it.
forever. Yeah, no problem. So this is a good question. Or the 529 after the 526 is approved, you got the green card. Now you only get a 2-year green card. So how do I do the 829, which is a 10-year green card? Now, the good news is 751 now is a 4-year receipt notice. So he's still asking for the 2 years. Now, the new 751 is 4 years now. So you can travel with your 4-year receipt with you don't necessarily have to bring your old green card, but always keep a copy in your bag. I mean, in your purse, in your bag, in your house, because I don't want immigration to take away your original. You don't have it. But the yes, you can travel with that. And one right now, both 824 and 751 is approved. The approval time is horrible. It's like 2 to 2.5 years. That's why they just changed and give you a 4-year receipt notice now. Yes, so you can show the receipt notice in the airports and come back with a valid passport. But be careful when you come back, because sometimes on marriage cases, and it's not fair because if you're from certain countries, they have a high fraud. Um, if you have a high fraud marriage case, and also the 751, if you're having fights, if you have violence, sometimes in the airport they'll ask you. But don't be worried because 751 receipt notice, it is a 4-year. Okay.
Okay. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Ms. Wong. This is a very long question. That's uh, we had 3 parts.
Right.
So okay, but thank you so much because you
Thank
already
you.
know what you were talking about when I was just thinking, what is this? What is this going to show up? But thank you so much, Ms. Wong, for your knowledge and for sharing it with all the people that get joining in this show. The next question we have, Ms. Wong, today is coming from Robin. I traveled with advanced parole from TPS before. Can I travel now also with TPS and pending U visa, but approved bona fide? Uh,
Yes. Yes. As long as, so basically you have two cases going. You have TPS parole. Make sure the parole is still valid. You have bona fideness with the U visa. So you have two types of work permit. One is TPS work permit. I think it's like C33, C11. And the other one is U visa, which is a C14. But you're traveling on a parole. Make sure the parole is valid before you come back. I mean, so you should come back before the expiration date. You're okay. You don't even
okay.
need to show the bona fideness EAD, that's a C14. It'll just confuse immigration. You have to remember, parole, C14, they're all approved by CIS. Immigration is divided into 3 parts. You have CIS, you have CBP, or the border or the airport. You also have ICE, which is all the investigation, the fraud, marriage, and stuff. When you come through the airport, you're only CBP. They don't understand all these U visa, C14 and stuff. The more you show them, the more just show them your passport and your parole papers, because TPS is automatic anyway nowadays. The last TPS you should have gotten is like sometime 2021, because after that it's automatic.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ms. Wong, for this answer. Don't forget that you can call. The phone number is 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. Next question coming in today is what we have it here. Okay. U.S. Embassy sent me this one email. Please, can you guide me? I am Reman Idris from Pakistan, now in Dubai, UAE. I need refugee resettlement from Dubai, UAE. I just
So
wonder if this person is asking something related to immigration in the United States or in Dubai.
right, that's a good question. That's what I was thinking. Maybe it's from Dubai. Then we don't do Dubai. We only do America.
Yeah, I need refugee resettlement from Dubai. but this is something that the U.S. Embassy sent him.
And where's the email?
Okay. The
Sorry.
referral process, see our USRAP consultations and worldwide priority. Refugee processing, the U.S. Refugee Admissions Program is administered by the Department of Homeland Security. Um, well,
Okay, I got it. I know what the question is. So basically, it's to American immigration. You are a Pakistan living in Dubai. Dubai now is very tough with their 2-year visa, 2-year visa. So your question is, you probably filed with the wrong agency because the U.S. Department, the U.S. American Embassy is U.S. Department of State. You probably applied something with them. Now they're telling you, oops, instead of telling you you found it wrong, they're very articulate. They're saying that, well, refugees resettlement is really affirmed by the Homeland Security. You're dealing with U.S. Department of State. So you need to find a place to file that. And I don't know because we don't do from outside to inside. We only do from inside because inside you do asylum, outside you do refugee. And refugee resettlement is very tough because Trump people have been there, are still there. So refugee resettlement is not like in the olden days. You go to Thailand for the Vietnamese, and then the Laos and the Bhutanese, and those were the easier days. And then the Nicaraguans came in the 60s and 70s, and the Chileans came in. But nowadays it's very difficult to do refugee resettlement.
thank you so much, Ms. Wong, for this answer. Don't forget that the attorney Margaret W. Wong has over 46 years of experience working in the immigration field, and she has been there working, helping thousands of families every single year. And you just need to go to the website imwong.com, or you can just call the offices. The phone number 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. 7 offices nationwide in the United States: Atlanta, Chicago, Cleveland, Columbus, Nashville, and New York, and Raleigh, North Carolina. And the phone number is just 1-216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. Next question, Ms. Wong, is my mother and my 4 siblings were
We're
me, my
stuck, probably.
mother.
We're stuck in Cameroon. Our dad is in Oklahoma, aged and jobless. Okay, that's a very good question because it happens all the time. I wonder why your father from Cameroon is in America and in Oklahoma. I wonder if your father have status because we have a lot of cases is also from Cameroon, different parts more from the African side or the Eastern European side. The father is here, already got green card and citizen, but the first wife or second wife and their other children somehow were stuck overseas, and we see those cases because and I don't know what religion is your father. We have cases where because they could like, I know it sounds weird in an American Facebook, but in the Muslim world, it's okay to marry 2 or 3 times. A lot of times to bring people here, they'll use it. They'll say, "I'm married to the second wife, but I want to bring the first wife's children to America and bring it as the children of the second wife." So somehow immigration, I mean, people there knows their custom, so they do a DNA testing and then so I don't know your situation, but this happens all the time. So the most important thing is to ask your dad what visa petition did he file for you and check his green card before now he's a citizen, if he's a citizen, because a green card will tell you how the dad got his green card. Because if he did get it through a marriage case, or an abuse case, or Cameroon have no TPS, no NACARA, so you have to check how the father got a green card, and did the father mention your mother and the siblings, because your parents could be married in your culture and not in the Western culture. um, that's the first step I would check with my experience, because this happens a lot. And then the father doesn't know, he doesn't speak English. It depends on lawyers, on notarios who file it. And as I said, even though Mr. Juan keeps saying call the lawyer, a lot of people like us, we don't go to lawyers because we don't have the money. And there are cases you don't need a lawyer. So I feel for you. And I hope they're not over 21, because if they're under 21, it's easier. If you are all under 21, it's a little bit easier. Another way to do it, at least bring one sibling to America. He or she can become a citizen. Now they'll bring the mother, because sometimes if your father never married the mother and he doesn't want to marry her, then at least bring the children to America. The children can become citizens and bring the mother to America, especially if children come under 18. If the father became a citizen, the children is automatically citizen after the age, I mean, before 18. When they're 21, they can bring the mother over. Stuff like that. Yeah.
Thank you
These
so
are all
much.
strategy cases. It's not how to fill out a form.
Yeah, that's why it's different. It's not just a person
Fun,
that.
keep going.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that say, "Oh, I am I am almost an attorney. I only need the title. I
I
only need,"
know you're gonna say.
and I say, "Okay, uh, good luck." It's not like you can be an attorney just because you fill out forms. It's not that way. You have to know that the judges are going to think in a way that maybe there's some parts of the law that some judges apply in some way, and that you can also show them how to apply it in a different way, because that's the law and that's the criteria of the judge sometimes. But also there is um, a way to do things that the immigration is giving uh, the way to do it. And if you are a judge or if you are a prosecutor, you have just to follow up those guidelines of how to apply the immigration law in this country. Thank you so much, Ms. Wong, for your answer. This next question is very interesting. Honestly, I don't understand this question, but surely you do. I want your suggestion on staying on USA on C1D visa. I want to finish my 6 month contract on ship and want to stay in the United States. Is there a process to stay legally in the United States on C1D visa?
Okay, C1D1. Let me explain to our listeners what's a C1D1. C1D1 is a crewman visa. C1D1, one is from air. So if you work for the airlines, if you work on a boat, you get C1D1. But a lot of times to get those visa, the foreign born person, they pay $1,000 $2,000 to someone who works in a boat, the HR people or something. They give you a letter, you go apply for the C1D1, and you never went on a boat, so you're illegally in America. But there are two ways to become illegal in America, undocumented in America on C1D1. One is you come to America, you were supposed to go on a boat. You did not go on the boat because C1D1 is really for you to come in and get on a boat to go to work and then come back and stay here on land for 2 days. You know how whenever we go on a cruise, you see the boat, the cruise workers, they'll come out and they'll make calls on land, they'll buy some food. Those are C1D1. Normally, when you went on a boat and come out, most boats, they hold onto your passport and hold onto your papers because they're worried that you run away. So my gut is maybe you ran away and now you're thinking, oh, I want to go back on a boat and work, and how do I come? Now, one way to do it, I don't know what country you're from, because now B2 is very, very slow. Like Mexico sometimes taking 2 years, China is taking 1 year. You may want to finish your 6 month contract. If you never overstayed in America, you go back to whatever country you're from and do the DS 160 and apply for tourist visa. Now you can come legally to America, and make sure when you come through the border, you show them the B2 stamp and not the C1D1 stamp, because I've seen clients that now they got the tourist visa stamp and somehow they still got the C1 stamp on the passport, right? Because you already have two visas on the passport. So I would not come in on a C1D1 and want to stay, because then C1D1, even if you marry an American citizen, you cannot adjust. Now, if you leave the country and come back, the marriage, the 601A takes 3.5 years, takes 5 years. And sometimes if American embassy, depends on what country you're from, they'll argue fraud. And then you couldn't even come back for another 2 years. So I would not do that anymore, because those are the old laws. Because when 245I came in, as long as you filed a visa petition or labor certification before December of 2000, now it's 23 years later, then you could adjust status, or even on a C1. But since then, for 23 years, you no longer adjust status. My recommendation is if you want to finish your contract, absolutely go finish it. And I know it's hard because it's normally 9 months, but but my understanding, I do a lot of improvement cases. So my understanding is each year you can save about 30,000. Don't spend the money. It's US dollars, right? So if you work 3 years, you save about 100,000. You don't even have to pay tax because you're on international water. You don't have to pay American tax. Now you have $100,000. Now you can apply for a tourist visa and come because they see all those stamps and your passport. They know you came back, you went on a boat. You came back, you went on a boat. So now they trust you, apply for a tourist visa. Then you come in.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wong, for this answer, and our time is up today. So thank you so much for sharing all your knowledge, Ms. Wong, and for having us to learn from you with so many experiences that you've had over 46 years working in this branch of the law. So thank you so much, Ms. Wong. I'll see you next week, next Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. in the Spanish Facebook, and then on Thursday at 12:30 for the English show with the attorney Margaret W. Wong and Associates. Thank you so much, Ms. Wong. Have a good lunch. Have a good time, and stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Juan Carlos. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And for everybody who has joined us today, don't forget that you can call. The phone number is 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. Attorney Margaret W. Wong, the attorney with most experience in the immigration world.